Hello, everyone. Welcome back. And today, the truth is that many people are stuck. So, this video is going to cover how you can ask quality questions, which are going to lead you to get unstuck, to bring you to who you would like to be in this life and where you would like to be. So, the key component is to understand compounding, how once that snowball gets rolling, it gets bigger with less effort. And so, one question, a differentiation between a poor and a quality question would be, what did I do to deserve this? Why is that a low quality question? What did I do to deserve this? That leaves the door open for a complaining victim or a survival mentality to step into the scene. What did I do to deserve this? Oh, you can easily place what should be your responsibility upon someone else. And that is when you outsource your power and you become quite helpless through asking a question like that. And of course, with the right mindset, you could answer that question in a way where you're taking responsibility. But right now, we're thinking in probabilistic terms. And there's a higher likelihood that when you phrase a question in that manner, well, you're leaving the space open for a potential not healthy mindset to be operating. On the other hand, you could ask a question like, what can I do to improve the situation? And okay, the thing that we want to emphasize there is, what can I do to improve? You are leaning in a healthy direction. You're setting yourself up for success. So, in terms of asking a question, or how your thoughts are wiring, or the actions you choose to do, the people you choose to spend most of your time with, the content that you choose to put into your mind. These are all choices that come down to understanding momentum and compounding. And when you set yourself up in a certain position, that's kind of like half the battle. I heard McGregor saying in a short this video, first you get your technique down, then your speed. And I'm not a big McGregor fan, but what he said there is pure truth. And you see, even though I'm not a McGregor fan, I could still respect when he says something that is on point. And so that's what we're getting at here is it's not necessarily about being perfect, but rather just setting yourself up correctly, raising the likelihood that you're going to choose the healthier actions. And one key component to executing on what I've said is asking these quality questions, noticing what connotation is behind each word you use. So, in that question, what can I do to improve the situation? That word improve and what can I do? They're implying that you can do something and that you can improve the situation. And so the closer attention that you pay to the details in life, whether it's someone's tone of voice, their attitude, their energy, how they treat others. For example, let's say I'm on a date with a beautiful girl and she's nice to me. But then when the waiter who makes whatever, minimum wage, whatever, comes up, she's rude to them. You see, that is telling such a story about her and who she is. And people do play games like this. Some, especially when you get to a certain spot in life, you're going to need to have the know-how to read people because people wear masks, they do play games. And see, at the same time, I'm not saying you judge the girl you're on a date with, but you definitely observe. You definitely take note of how people act in every piece of their life. So, It's important to notice details. The more observant you become with the details of your own physiology and psychology, the better you get at reading other people. And when you read other people, you can prevent yourself from falling into traps. Trust me, there are traps out here. So you want to read yourself first, and then it all just compounds for you. In terms of compounding, and specifically living healthily, automatically or effortlessly, we kind of have to understand some principles. And one of my favorites, well, it links very tightly with positioning, with setting yourself up for success. So, on a practical level, there are things like out of sight, out of mind, noticing your triggers for certain habits. For example, last night I did something I necessarily I won't do again tonight. See, caught myself right there. Not wouldn't, I'm not going to, because details. I had a chocolate bar last night at a time where I shouldn't have. First of all, chocolate bar, unhealthy ingredients, not horrible, but unhealthy. Not something I would consume on a daily basis or even a weekly basis. Thing is, what I'm getting at is there's no need, there's no benefit coming from being extremely harsh on yourself, right? So instead of saying, what did I do? Like, why am I blank? Insert anything negative. Why am I blank? And that's just, it does not help. It's not beneficial. On the other hand, I could ask a question like, okay, I accept that I did this. I accept that I feel the consequences for said action. But what can I do right now to begin healing? What can I do to start feeling better? And therefore, my solution, eat some healthy food, have some water, go on a walk, do what I know I'm meant to do. Bada bing, bada bing. So you get your ball rolling even after, we're not meant to be perfect. And I'm not here to say you can't have a chocolate bar, right? Point is, well, know yourself, understand what to do, or better said, when to do what. So when you make something that's a mistake, it is not your solution to beat yourself up. What your solution is to seek the next action that's going to raise you back into healthy energy. And just a very practical tip in terms of nutrition, because that's where a good amount of my personal mistakes occur. It's not having certain things in your house. And of course, I get it. Not everyone's going to be on your level of health. For example, I live with my mom and my two sisters. They do not care nearly as much about nutrition as I do. So that being said, there are things in my house which serve as temptations for me. So am I going to complain and blame them for me having a chocolate bar? No, no, that just is laughable, right? I'm going to say, well, this is an opportunity for me to build my discipline. Even though ideally in my house, I'm not going to even purchase those things. There won't be that temptation. But that's not always how life works, right? Sometimes temptation is inevitable. And therefore, you have an opportunity not to blame others, but to use it as a way to train yourself. See, I'll get into the rider versus elephant analogy soon, but that is one opportunity. Your elephant is the temptation, knows the chocolate bar's there. Your rider is the one who recognizes, okay, know the chocolate bar's there. And if I succumb to temptation, I eat that chocolate bar, I'm going to can I speak? I'm going to regret it because I won't feel as good as I would had I chosen something like some almonds. So it's kind of this powerful thing, which I've spoken about before, is anticipating regret, knowing how a certain action is going to leave you feeling before doing it, having the observation ability to go through that thought process before you're sitting in, oh, my stomach hurts. right? If you can anticipate regret, you're on to something. Easier said than done. And all of my channel, everything I say is essentially training your observation ability so that you can catch yourself prior than dealing with the consequence and being in regret. So you can choose your actions based on anticipating how you wouldn't like to feel. So the power of the subconscious is an interesting concept. I'll start with 90% of what we do is operated unconsciously. For example, I was typing on my keyboard, but I'm not consciously thinking I'm not thinking of what letter I'm going to press. The process is just wiring so quickly that it's happening. See, isn't that interesting? Like, if you just think about it for a moment, do you tell your heart to beat? It just beats. Sure, there are certain things like we can blink, but we can also blink unconsciously. I am sure you'll catch me during this episode blinking, and I promise you, the only time that I purposely blinked was right there, like 5 seconds ago. Same thing with breathing. We can do breath work, or you breathe naturally. So what am I getting at here, right? What am I getting at? It's essentially the power in that 90%. Realizing that, how can we set that 90% up to be the way that we would want it to be? Because if so much of our life is happening unconsciously, is there a way that we can raise the level of our unconscious? Yes, there is. And that's the power in habits, in strategically living, in planning what you do in your days. I'm not saying overthink and say, I'm going to do this, then this. And like, in a way, in professional life, in business reality, we have to pay attention to the clock. But then another part of me is like, well, split your days. Wake up early, do your clockwork, right? Even if it's stuff that you enjoy. For example, when I'm doing my deep work sessions, I use a stopwatch to pay attention to, like, okay, when did I get up, use the bathroom? I pause it. So just noticing how many hours, how many minutes am I putting into my focused deep work? But that being said, it's also nice to operate freely and joyously through unconsciously just living, right? Through doing things spontaneously, through not caring what time it is and just being there. Like, if you're on a walk, it's much more joyous to simply not pay attention to the time. If you're running, same thing. I get it. Sometimes you're doing a very competitive thing and you time your sprint, your 40-meter dash, understandable. But if we're talking in terms of joy, in terms of getting the most out of your moments, it's helpful to loosen up, right? Most people go to cognitive therapy and things of that nature, not to tighten up. Of course, some people need tightening, but the large majority need loosening. So how can you program your unconscious mind to be strategic but loose, right? I think that's the beautiful balance that we're aiming at. And what I would say is you fill your days with healthy habits. So I get it. Some of you have a 9-to-5. Some of you may work your own one-to-one business. Some of you may have a business with other people. It's not a 9-to-5. You get my point. Different fields, different spectrums that we're all operating on. So what I say, you might not be able to apply everything I say, but there will be some things that you could say, what if I just put that into my day at this place? And then do that with a few healthy habits. Eventually you stack healthy habits, and then you get to this point where it's like, now the quality of my focus work has improved because the quality of my leisure time is more flowing, it's healthier, and My unconscious is being upgraded through how I live. See, successful, truly joyous living is a lifestyle. It's not something you turn on and off. It is you becoming so well-rounded and balanced through knowing yourself, what you value, what actions you're naturally interested in, what brings you joy, and culminating, like just putting it all together. See, I say frequently that I feel as if puzzle pieces are clicking. And then inevitably, this week, puzzle pieces did click. I didn't feel them, they clicked. So there's that difference between, do you believe in something or do you know something? And I'm not talking like fairy bullshit. I know this, I'm right, I'm better than you. No, I'm just saying, do you know something deep down? You don't need to tell other people because you know it. You don't need other people to confirm it because you know it. That's powerful. It's not something I'm going to go into detail with specific examples, because if you know, you know. People say that. It is true. Habits, lifestyle, when to do what, who to be what with. This is your foundation for upgrading your unconscious, your subconscious mind. I use those words interchangeably. So it's like knowing how what you do leaves you feeling 1 minute after, 15 minutes after, an hour, and a day after, and even a week, depending on what it is. So we have to be observant enough to pay attention to the energy that we get from doing certain things. For example, I'm not going to say I don't scroll on Instagram. I scroll for maybe a couple minutes, like 2 minutes, 5 minutes, or YouTube Shorts, between those two. Point being, I know if I scroll for more than 5 minutes, I don't feel good. Like, it brings me too far out of the moment, brings me into futuristic thinking. I want this, I want that. Look at this guy. Oh, I don't have that. Or comparison, essentially. Point is, I'm not saying never do it. I'm saying understand how what you do leaves you feeling. So feeling like shit becomes a choice if you're observant enough. Because I know for a fact, if I were to sit there and scroll for 30 minutes, I would feel gross, disgusting. Point is, I know that, so I don't choose to do it. So what about you in your life? What do you do that leaves you feeling questionable? Please, paragraph. Well, I'm not going to say please. Do it if you want to feel better. Do it if you want to become wealthy sooner. I'm not joking. When you get better at these small details, which program your unconscious mind, your world begins to work for you. So the world is not as it is. The world is as you are. This life works as if it's a mirror. Like Jesus says, like the other spiritual leaders say in different words, in different phrases. You get what you give. This is how the world works. It's karma yoga. If you're going to think a certain thought, you're going to get the energy, the life that aligns with that thought. So this is a differentiation between low and high frequency living. And I'm talking on the granular level of your thoughts because, well, I'm talking to a camera, a mic. I have my monitors, my PC. All of this began as an idea. An idea is a thought, meaning that this whole world has been created via thought. So now this is the time for the rider versus elephant analogy. The elephant is thought. The rider is the thing which is observant of thought. Notice, you have a thought, but then there's something which observes the thought. Both are within the mind. So the elephant is the untamed aspect of the mind. The rider is the strategic, wise, and tamed aspect of the mind. That being said, the elephant much bigger than the rider, more powerful. Meaning, the rider cannot force the elephant to do jack shit. The rider has to be strategic in coaxing, in setting, in positioning, like I was speaking on earlier. So the rider understands how one thing links to another. If you practice certain habits, you have certain thought patterns, aka, well, I don't like that word, aka, but what I'm saying is feedback loops, how one thing correlates to another. So the rider understands this. The elephant doesn't. The elephant's like pleasure, want. That's what the elephant is. And the rider realizes, wait, okay, there are nuances, right? There's instant gratification, there's delayed gratification. So how does it affect me? Well, we know how dopamine works. If you consume, this is from Dr. Huberman, if you consume too much dopamine in a short period of time, yeah, your dopamine spikes, you feel wonderful. But then after that spike, you drop below your baseline. So, right, you have your dopamine, your baseline, you spike it, but then you go way lower due to the instant gratification spikes. Not what we want. Not at all how you would like to feel. On the other hand, what you can do through delaying gratification, through healthy habits, things like playing chess, reading a book, writing, having deep conversations. I know I'm not having a conversation, but in a way, I actually am. Like, I am having a conversation. I know someone's going to listen to this. So, in a way, see, the game of the mind, right? I do this for many reasons. It's enjoyable for me. It's like therapeutic for me just to speak. It's like everything I'm saying here, it's not necessarily, oh, I teach you. No, it's more like Justin needs to hear this. So I say it, I hear it, I program my unconscious, my subconscious with this sort of high frequency, valuable insight. And whoa, at the same time, it's like a business endeavor. It could help other people. It's like win, win, win. A hint that I'll give you if you want to become who you would like to become in life. Focus on those win, win, win things. Program your mind, your thought cycle into looking and seeking opportunities where you have win, win, wins. Because if you can help yourself, help someone else, and whatever the third variable may be, that's a beautiful thing. It truly is. And on the other side, if you practice habits which have multiple negative consequences, for example, I'm not going to say I don't like weed. It's an interesting thing, right? So I smoked 17 to, I still smoke like once a month sort of thing. Point is, I used to smoke every day, then filtered it to every night rather than, multiple times a day. Okay, some things you have to wean yourself out of. Other things you can stop quickly. Point is, weed has negative consequences. Number one, it lowers your testosterone. And, well, testosterone is important. You want to look good, you need testosterone. You want to be capable of standing for yourself, you need testosterone. See, it's not only a physical molecule, but it affects your psychology as well. This is the power of the body in understanding hormones and natural health and how one thing affects another. So, weed lowers testosterone, creates a foggy mind, makes it harder for you to notice the differentiation between the rider and the elephant. See, I've been meditating a lot in my life, 500, maybe 1,000 plus hours, maybe more. Not sure. I don't track it. 30 minutes plus a day adds up over years. Point is, when I don't smoke, and I know the difference because I only smoke, well, before it was just at night, and now it's like once a month. So, point being, I'm more observant of the differentiation between the wild elephant and the rider's sophisticated insight. I just stumped myself. I know I was talking about the differentiation. I'm more observant of it when I don't smoke. I notice how things begin to fade. My clarity disperses. The fog arises after smoking, and that's interesting. But there's another negative consequence. See, so lowers testosterone, foggy mind, and then the munchies. I just poof. Since my observation is lower, my elephant takes over and just goes. And it's like, why do you think I had a chocolate bar, right? Now, can you unravel the story? It's funny. And see, I'm not here mad at myself. This is something I want to spread to you. I used to be so hard on myself, and it was like such a hyperachiever. In one way, it's like, okay, you gotta go through some things in life, right? But now I realize, no, I did the decision. Now it's about getting back on track, right? That's what matters. Bullying yourself, beating yourself down, not necessary. Life can do that to you. You don't need to do it to yourself. So when you make a mistake, learn the lesson, reflect, notice the feedback loop, see how your decision led you into either a healthier choice or a negative choice and how that all compounds. I don't want you to bullshit yourself, and denial and self-deception is powerful. Thankfully, if you've made it here in this video, you're at least open-minded enough to realize, well, I'm not perfect, right? Neither am I. Point is, there are certain actions which, if you stack, they change your life so much, and they're not too complicated, right? So I would say, start with 1 to 5 minutes a day if that's what you need, right? If you feel you can do more, do more. But point is, you want consistency. So don't be like, I'm going to read for 25 minutes a day if you can't do it consistently. And for example, I could tie this to me playing chess. Lately, this week, I've missed some days of chess. And now as I reflect, it's like, Justin, you say do 1 to 5 minutes, but for some reason I'm telling myself I need 30 minutes of chess. And therefore I've missed chess 3 days in a row. And so I catch myself in this moment right now saying, okay, no, I'm just going to do 1 minute a day. And if 1 minute turns into 30, cool. Use that structure for you as well. Whether it's your walk, your exercise, your reading, your meditation, your approaching of a girl, whatever it may be, you just start. Just do 1 minute. Like, you don't have to think about the whole thing. Just 1 minute. Just start. And then you'll see how the ball starts rolling. The psyche's tricky. So I'm absolutely glad that I've caught myself here, because now I'm going to streak together days of chess. And it's funny how, right? Through speaking on things, through making this video, I actually just benefit myself right there. So that's beautiful. So to get that elephant programmed in the right way, to train your elephant, as the rider, you have to understand how each decision matters, how the words, the language within your question lead to affect what you end up thinking, and how your thoughts will correlate to your future actions, and how actions create feedback loops in your life. If you enjoy my energy, the vibe of how I articulate, well, it's because I know something and I've done work, right? Point being, I have an offer for one-on-one guidance. It's not for someone who isn't willing to put in the work and effort. But if you understand that you get what you give, if you want to heal your anxiety and your stress, to become who you're meant to become, I'll have Twitter link in description. Shoot me a DM with the word like ready, or just tell me a bit about where you're coming from. Like, are you coming from a YouTube video? Tell me that. Whether it's physical or psychological, there is a combination that needs to be struck. You know what to do and you know what to avoid. That's what I'm always here talking about. Not going to give personal examples right now. But yes, shoot me a DM on Twitter if you're interested in the one-on-one guidance. It's limited spots. It's not for everyone. It's not an effortless magic pill. It will get you to become the person that you know you want to become. And so, concluding, understand the power in details, right? That's what this is all about. And if you enjoy, if you're listening on podcast, drop me a rating. I appreciate you. If you're on YouTube, a like. Share it with a friend. Tell them what you enjoyed, why you stayed to the end, what they're going to get from it. I value you. I'm not joking. I deeply value you. Have a smooth day.